So there's only 7 working days left. We got to turn this into the world's fastest F-Type. I need it 200 miles per hour plus. The official top speed of this thing from factory is 200 miles per hour, but I've never seen any sort of recording of anybody actually doing that. Certainly not doing it in only 1.25 miles. We don't have unlimited space. We need to beat that in this and make this the world's fastest F-Type.
We set out to build the world's fastest Jaguar F-Type SVR. But some things didn't go quite to plan.
Okay, either the engine's dead or I hit a speed limiter. Because that cut power. You broke the camera. If that scratched my car, I'd be very unhappy with you. Let's have a look at it.
The outer lenses are smashed completely, the protective lenses annihilated.
Some problems required creative solutions. Others weren't quite so easy.
I've got a problem. My door won't open. My door won't open.
But when things went right,
Oh yes! Fucking shit! The problem was the traction control. That's fucking ripped.
Alright, so early stage. The lads have ripped my car to pieces. Let's have a look at it, shall we? Bumper off, bonnet off, or hood if you're from America land. Air filters off, crash bar off, most of the radiators off. And that is so we can start installing the chiller system. Oosh! So, we currently offer 4 different levels of tuning for the 5-litre Jaguar Land Rover supercharged platform. And a 5th is in development. In fact, maybe more than that. There's loads of options. We've been going for years on these things. So let me talk you through all the different levels of tuning we have available for these cars. Level 1. That would basically be remapping software. So there are no physical changes to the car. We just change the software in the engine ECU to unleash a bit more power. It requests a bit more torque. It hires the torque limiters. It hires the RPM. It can change the timing a little bit. It can request more boosts. And overall, you get more power and a more instantaneous throttle response out of your car. And we kind of go as much as we can, as safe as we can, without doing any physical hardware changes. And results do differ from model to model, but typically these 5 litres, when you remap them, the early Denso cars go to about 560, 570. These newer cars, which is a Bosch system, and if you've got an 8-speed gearbox, you've got the Bosch system. If you've got a 6-speed gearbox, you've got the old Denso system. But the newer Bosch systems, they go to closer to 600 horsepower. All right, stage 2. Ooh, I'm going to find some things and some stuff. So here we go. Stage 2, or level 2 as I call it. Because everyone's doing stages, and I don't confirm to other people's stages. This is our tuning packages are our own things. We have different levels. That is what it is. There is no legislation that dictates what stage is what. They're just different packages from different companies. So this is our packages anyway. So level 2, you get an upper supercharger pulley. So not only is it shiny, it makes it faster too. Science. So this is precision engineered out of stainless steel. It's a nice finish. It doesn't need to be that nice, but it is a nice finish. So it fits really well on the supercharger shaft, and the belts that this thing is driven by grips really well as well. And this is smaller in circumference than the original one, making the supercharger spin faster. Now, that modification does work well on its own. It gives around 25 horsepower extra gain and more torque and more throttle response throughout the entire rev range because the supercharger is spinning the whole time. If you combine that with a remap, these things typically go well over 600 horsepower. Could be 610, 620. I've even seen one as high as 650. I wouldn't guarantee that, but that's the reason we got, right? On a third-party dyno, that was a F-Type SVR. That's level 2, so that would be an upper pulley and a remap. And just to confirm, we do have a remap that's slightly altered to accommodate that pulley as well. So we have got like a level 2 specific remap, but it's not mandatory. You can run that pulley on its own. You can run that pulley with a bog standard remap. That's fine as well. Anyway, next level. Oh, what's after 2? I knew I should have done school. Green. No, that's not it. Next is level 3, of course. So that includes some more things and some stuff as well. We're going to boost that supercharger even harder, even more. It does receive the upper pulley, but also receives, ta-da, this big thing, a lower pulley as well. That works with the upper pulley, spinning the supercharger even faster again to its kind of maximum efficiency to get the most boost available out of the supercharger fitted to your car. Now, it's important to know when you increase pressure, which is what we're doing by giving it more boost. Boost is pressure. Heat also increases. It's kind of linear with it, okay? And heat, hot air entering your engine is not good. It's not going to give you power. It's not going to give you efficiency. So we try and offset that with one of these. This is a charge cooler radiator, and that one is handmade in the UK, like most of our products, and it is twice as thick as the standard one, and that goes right at the front of the stack of radiators here. This one's missing. We've took that off for our next level. Where is the standard one? Here we are. So the standard one looks like that. It's only sort of an inch thick. Ours is twice as thick. It's got a load of plastic on it. Ours doesn't have any plastic. It's all solid, handmade, aluminium in the UK. Twice as thick as standard. Now, because it's twice as thick, that doesn't mean it gives twice the cooling. That isn't how it works. Basically, we've gone for the thickest that we can actually fit within the kind of aperture of the car. Any thicker, it wouldn't fit. Any thinner, and it's not as effective, all right? So ours is kind of the biggest charge cooler you can get in there. That's going to cool that supercharged air. And guess what? You got it. It's combined with a remap specifically for that kit. So the car's now got quite a lot of boost. It needs to know what to do with it. We need to alter and tweak other things so it runs smoothly and efficiently as possible. They typically make around 650 horsepower. I've seen as low as like 610, and I've seen as high as 673, I think, but I generally call it a 650 package on average. That's what they make. And they make really good torque as well, like 800 and something Newton meters of torque, which is pretty high. Next, level 4. What does that include? Well, as per the other kits, some things and some stuff. So we actually changed the crank pulley again and the supercharger pulley again for an even bigger crank pulley and even smaller supercharger pulley than our already performance ones. We overboost the supercharger. Now that's going to generate a lot of heat. The car usually can't handle. The supercharger usually can't handle. You know, it's going to be too much. It's going to turn it into all that boost into heat. It's not going to make any power, okay? But we bring it all back into its efficiency range to make good power using what's called an interchiller. And we start off with a universal kit from these guys, FI Interchillers. We're an official UK retailer of the kits, but we go further than that. We are making Jaguar model specific kits to make it much easier and quicker, neater and more efficient to fit to the car. And of course, tried and tested. So all the pipes, brackets, fittings, installation guidance, general layout, the amount of gas, etc., etc. We've spent like 150 hours per Jaguar model designing and recording, literally, and thousands of pounds, of course, so we can offer it to you guys. So at the moment, we're doing them in-house. I mean, our car is car number 7 to receive a chiller system, but we are going to be shipping the kits abroad as well. Again, sort of prefabricated kits makes the time for you guys to install much shorter and, you know, much easier. So that's what we're doing. And basically, This is our level 4 revised package we're calling Overboost and Chill. If you get that, overboosting the supercharger, chilling using the chiller system, and that brings everything back into its efficiency range, running pretty high boost for one of these cars. And again, you guessed it, it comes with revised remapping to suit. So as you can see, we've got loads of packages for these cars. These are the 5-litre supercharged cars we're working on, but we also do the same kind of thing for the 3-litre superchargers. The same style, but it does involve different parts and slightly different layouts. So there's only 7 working days left. We got to turn this into the world's fastest F-Type. I need it 200 miles per hour plus. The official top speed of this thing from factory is 200 miles per hour, but I've never seen any sort of recording of anybody actually doing that. Certainly not doing it in only 1.25 miles. We don't have unlimited space. We need to beat that in this and make this the world's fastest F-Type. This is a new offering we have from Wraptor. This is our Generation 4 brake kit, which are rather special because these brakes are carbon ceramic, meaning they can handle even higher heat than the previous generation brakes, and they have a significant weight saving by replacing the front and rear discs and front brake calipers for our not only much larger than standard but higher performance brakes. Amazingly, it saves 40 kilograms in weight. Yes, you heard me, 40, not 14, that's 40 kilograms. And if carbon ceramic brakes are carefully looked after, they're designed to last the lifetime of the vehicle. Obviously the rotors or discs are no longer made of iron, so they won't rust. And if you'd like a set, they'll be available on our online shop very soon, www.raptordesign.com. Now, we've only got sort of 3 days to finish getting Houdini ready for the top speed event. So we are doing what we usually do and starting with our coolant tank as a universal tank, and then we're going to be fabricating on our own inlets, outlets and mounting points to mount it to the car. Now that's usually fine because basically this effectively ends up as a capacitor of icy cold coolant, and you put your foot down and you use some of that up, and then when you let your foot off it recharges it again. However, of course, I'm going to be foot to the floor in this thing for 1.25 miles constantly. So that tells me we may need a bigger capacitor, but we've only got 3 days left and I haven't got time to make one from scratch to try and fill the aperture that we have available in the F-Type SVR. So I'm going to stick with what we usually do, which is this one, due to the amount of time that we've got. But going forward, we are also going to be making custom tanks per Jaguar model, which are basically as big as we can get in the space available. That'll give you a bigger capacitance. So it means it will give you icy cold cooling for longer or for prolonged throttle periods, even more so than the tank we're currently using. So we've got a 2.5 litre capacity at the moment, plus what's in the system. It takes about 6 litres, something like that. But if we can add another 10 litres to that, that would be ideal. But just not on this occasion because, again, we don't have time. So I'm going to be recording and closely watching the intake temps of Houdini when it's flat out of the strip. And fingers crossed it doesn't get too hot. Because we all know by now that hot air means losing power and it's not as good for the engine either. But anyway, let's do what we can with the time available. So I'm going to be welding these things on. These are the inlets and outlets that need to go on the tank. It's all aluminium, so that means I need to TIG weld it rather than MIG weld it. Always set up the welder on a bit of scrap. You know you're confident before tackling the actual piece and ruining it. Quicker in the long run. Get the wrestling belt on. Okay, I think we're good to tackle the real bit. Give it a go. Yeah, that's one hole welded up that I didn't want there. It's an original outlet that comes with a tank that's a little bit useless. So that's been welded up. Now it's time to add the inlets and outlets. Cool it down, Scotty. Right, inlets, outlets, welded on, that blanked off. I piped it together and filled it full of water. So I'm going to dry this off and pressure test it, basically. Every tank I make, I pressure test before I bother putting it in the car, before I bother shipping it out and there's a potential leak. I'll pressure test. So here goes. Take off the usual Jaguar header tank screw. I'm going to pump it up to a bar of pressure. Just over a bar. The tool itself is leaking, that's not handy, is it? So check this point here, and I'm going to check this point here, and then I'm going to turn it on the side so to make sure this connection is immersed in water. Check that point there as well. Back to do that and make sure it's bone dry to start with. Here we are. See, good job I checked. There's a pinhole somewhere, right in that awkward spot between these two pieces here. There we are, a little pinhole. Never mind, it's an easy fix. It just means I gotta empty it, re-weld it, cool it down, refill it, pressure test it again. Hey ho, I'll do it. Well, the good news is all the rest of the joins not leaking, they're fine. Just this one little pinhole. That's going to be welded up the bung hole, and go again. It's being a one little pinhole, just can't get in there. Keep dipping the tungsten in it, spitting and farting. No, I might just Dremel that bit out, go again from scratch. Good. Oh, did not like that one bit. Still, we will persist. Well, I've gone over that again. Once I've die grinded all the sort of rubbish weld out, went again, looks a lot better. Confident that's not going to leak now. I'm going to pressure test it again, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead while the welding equipment is out and weld on my brackets then. Now I'm going to take a read of the engine ECU if this thing behaves itself. So I can work on the early stages at least of a remap for the new setup. So we're going to go in through OBD, continue. Do you want to see the manual? No, I've seen manual many times before. First thing I'm going to do is, these are the different functions. ID, we'll always take an ID of the car first, and then we're going to read it. And obviously once I've prepared the remap, we can write it on again. So you just click along and do what it says. Easy. Tells you how long it should take. And then you got the joyful task of turning the ignition off and on approximately 1,000 million times. And once we've received all the information, we can start actually working on a remap. You broke it already? What are you doing? Just open the door. Just pull it. He's worked out the door handle, and now my man Pry's going to work out how to read the engine ECU. It tells you what to do as you go along. It'll be fine, probably. Wish him luck. See you in a bit. I'm going to do some other stuff. I'm going to jump on the other laptop, start preparing some remaps. All right, a lot of remaps to do. We've got to remap the SVR for the top speed event. Got to remap Thirsty Kirsty, Dustin's car, for the top speed event 2. I've already made a remap for this one. I've got to load it on. No, I've got to revise the Shocker remap as well. It seems to be topping out apparently at 165 miles per hour, and it shouldn't do that. It should climb to sort of 185 plus ideally. Whew. Okay, we're getting there. Only 2 days to go. It's early hours of the morning right now, and Alex isn't here Friday either, so I've only got him for one more day, but we're getting there. Let me show you where we're at. So the chiller, the Thriller chiller, delivering chills and thrills, is on. It's all bolted together. We've still got a little bit of insulating to do, and then we've got to gas it up. It's already bled up, so we've got our auxiliary tank here, acting as a capacitor for icy cold coolant delivered to the supercharger. We've actually tried something a bit different. Now, there's usually a radiator that goes along here. Now, we're trying it on our own car first. This is the radiator. It actually sits like horizontal. Can you see that? That is a radiator. There you go. And it's also just a massive trap full of leaves. So you got that tiny little 1 or 2 inch gap here that sort of scoops from the bottom of the bumper and supposedly delivers air to all that radiator. But it just gets absolutely rammed full of dirt. It makes it quite difficult to try and reattach it with the chiller system. And I just don't believe it has any good effect on the car whatsoever. And also, it's noted that the auxiliary radiator isn't actually fitted to all Jaguar F-Types. Some of them were released from factory with no auxiliary radiator at all. So we're deleting ours, we're gonna test it and see how it goes. And over time, I've seen a few of them leak. Now I think it must be there for a reason, but the airflow that was in that area, we can redirect over the main radiators anyway. So we're deleting ours, we're gonna test it and see how it goes. So by deleting this particular radiator, I'm making the system more simplified and more reliable. They're also fitted to some models of Jaguar XK. These lower positioned horizontal mounted auxiliary radiators are fitted to not all but many F-types. The reason being is debris and leaves etc. from the road gets trapped in the radiator. The debris holds moisture against the radiator, which basically corrodes and rots the radiator, which in turn makes them leak. I think it has minimal airflow, minimal cooling, and it just gets blocked full of rubbish. So on our car, we've decided to delete it. And all that radiator is an extension of the main engine radiator. It's not like it cools the gearbox or the power steering or anything else. That's just an extension of the main engine radiator that it still has. So we've bypassed it using this pipe here. We're going to keep an eye on our engine temps and see how we go. And also the plan is that if there is sort of a gap under here, we're going to fit like a piece of acrylic or plastic here to scoop any air up and into these rads. So we're going to kind of salvage any airflow, stop any wastage anyway. Right, so further to that, the chiller system, there's the heat exchanger, so that exchanges heat from the supercharger into the icy cold aircon system, and of course exhausts that via not one but now two twin air condenser radiators at the front of the car. We've got our fill point here, nice little fill point in the middle of the car, so that's completely separate from the engine cooling system. We've still got the engine cooling system, but now the system that cools the engine and the system that cools the supercharger are two separate systems, so they don't exchange heat, and you've got increased reliability. We've got a switch going in here as well, so this will switch off the aircon to the cabin, making it kind of fully concentrate on cooling the supercharged air on demand in kind of maximum attack mode. And then we got our Screamer air filter kits going on here. It's really simple one for the F-Type. Just delete the boxes, fit these filters of the correct diameter that we can supply on our shop, and you'll have some supercharged intake noise via these filters. So there we go, they're a performance filter, they're high flow. Brakes are on. We've bled them with DOT 5.1 performance fluid. If you're going to put that in a car, I recommend change it every year, every service. So now I've just got to put a base map on it, and then it's going to go for a custom race fuel map on the dyno. Hopefully that all goes ahead. Otherwise I'm just fully relying on myself and some regular kind of high octane 99 fuel to propel this thing past 200 miles per hour. Wish me luck if that's the case. So on here we've also got our revised pulleys. So this supercharger is spinning beyond what we would usually boost the supercharger to, creating our level 4 revised Overboost and Chill package. And yeah, the superchargers, they scream, and the chiller system really brings the temperatures down and keeps everything at bay as well, so it's still within its efficiency range. It can still handle everything, and yeah, you get some sort of dramatic power delivery. It really picks up its skirts, squeals and goes. And to try and get the most airflow as possible, we've done things like moved the horns and mounted anything, basically trying to not interrupt the flow to the radiators. Further to that, it's not about just getting the air through the radiators, it's getting it out the other side again. So you'll get the air in and then it can get trapped in the engine back. So the bonnet vents on the F-Types really help. If you can get more flary ones like our SVR ones, like this that has got lots of holes in it, that's going to help exhaust not just heat but let the air from the radiators push out somewhere. And another thing you can do is you can remove the seal. So there's going to be a seal, you can see a witness mark along here from the bonnet to the scuttle panel. If you remove this, that's potentially another way that air can get out. Yes, the water can get in, but my argument is, I mean, where does the water go anyway? It runs down the screen, and in this car it looks like it's designed to run in here, and we want to keep these nice and clean. If it does manage to go this far, well, it's not really going to do anything anyway. Our Interchiller system is a really full-fat comprehensive system, which comes with not just the main piece, that is the heat exchanger, but also an additional receiver dryer, a secondary air conditioning condenser radiator, double insulated pipework, the auxiliary tank acting as a capacitor, and the switch to isolate the system to the supercharger only for maximum attack mode rather than sharing it with the cabin. This is all to try and make the system work as effectively as possible to create high peak power and sustained power delivery. The system's separated from the main engine cooling system. It has its own separate fill and bleed point, We also increase fan speed and airflow to the radiators, and all of this creates a very comprehensive chiller system.
You like?
Yeah, you dip.
He's a beast.
Nearly there. Nearly there. About to put the gas in it now. Put the panels back on it. Then we need some mapping. We've got Dustin's Thirsty Kirsty XFRS over there in the other bay, and that's receiving some new ignition system parts, a revised map, and hopefully with the new level 4 Overboost and Chill kit it's got on it, it's all going to behave and work well. Wish us luck. But the tank, we just apply some insulation like so, nice and simple. Here's our plastic piece reinstalled. Nice hole cut there so you can access that. Nice and neat. Lovely. Okay, so the guys that are meant to be mapping this on E85 tomorrow for me have got hold of me, and they've only got like half a day available. They feel that it's going to be rushed, it won't go smooth, it's high risk. Basically, they don't want to do it. We've only got 1 day left, and they've only got half a day available. So I'm saying, okay, next best case, let's map it on 99 with octane booster to create it kind of like a 110 octane fuel in it, and we'll create a map for that. So a race fuel effectively, but not an E85. That's the next best thing. So I'm waiting to hear from them if they're going to do that. If that fails, I'm mapping it myself without a rolling road, and wish me luck. Now, I don't mind mapping stuff, you know, we've mapped stuff on different levels of tunes that we've done previously loads of times before. That's fine, we know what we're doing, but this is a brand new kit. This is boosting more than anyone has boosted before, and it's also got our interchiller on it, and then obviously we wanted a race fuel in there as well, so there's a few new elements here. Now, it could be a very similar map. In the 85, definitely wouldn't be a similar map, completely different map. But I just have to apply what I've learned. Bear in mind, we've got a little bit more boost, and see what I can do. It probably means I'm not going to get the best I can out of it without developing a tune specifically for the setup on a dyno. Now, we've done that already with lots of our other different levels of tune, level 1, 2, 3, and old school 4, and whatever else. But this one, we've pushed it a bit beyond our level 4 tune. So there's nothing like readily available for it. Hope that makes sense. I'm probably waffling. I'm probably a bit scared. But we've got to try these things. If we don't try, we won't succeed in anything, will we? Stay tuned and wish us luck. Right, wow, we're in the last hour of the day before we have to leave. So basically, we've got tomorrow to finish that car, and then they need to be on their way to York, to Alvington, to the runway. Ultimate supercar top speed event. And in classic style, I've been let down. It really frustrates me how people can let you down, and I guess it just doesn't affect them or something. You know, for example, this project, we're into tens of thousands of pounds for buying the car, and then thousands of pounds for developing the kits as well. We've been planning this all year. We've marketed it. We've got a team to go to the event. There's absolutely loads that's gone into this, and of course in the last hour we've been let down. I've now not got anybody to do custom mapping on the car, so the only person I can rely on is me. Yeah. Now, I'll happily do general mechanics, wrapping, fabrication, engineering, air conditioning, auto electronics, diagnostics, custom remapping. We don't have an in-house dyno. We always use a third-party dyno. And there's people out there with way more experience custom mapping than me, which is why I'd prefer somebody else to do that. So do I take on the task of mapping the car? Well, we don't achieve anything unless we try, do we? So I'm certainly going to try and do it. Now, if this was a normal level 1 or even one of our level 2, 3, 4 kits, then it's a lot more simple. We're kind of rinsing and repeating what we've done previously. But this is new. We're boosting this car higher than any car we've boosted. We want to get this thing 200 miles per hour down the runway. We have race fuel ready for it. We've got to bring something special to this event. I'm really disheartened right now. Yeah. We are so committed and heavily invested into certain things that we need to achieve those things, you know. And in this case, it's the top speed event. This is the world's fastest project. Let's do it. Let's get it to 200 or more miles per hour. That's the aim. Don't know if I'm going to have to do it or not. Genuinely, I don't know. But if we don't try, then we don't succeed in anything. So, big risk or small risk? I don't know. I'm going to do it. I'm going to remap this car myself with a completely new setup, something that hasn't been done before. So, I'm contemplating, how do I go about it? Well, the kit on this car isn't too dissimilar from our level 3 and 4 kits, so I would use what I've learned from that as a starting point for sure. But do I push the car more? Because we've got more boost available, we've got better fuel available, and we want to go fast? Or because we're boosting the car more than ever and it's the unforeseen, do I hold it back a bit? It's tricky. It's tricky. Now, whenever I give remappers that work with us one of our development cars like this one to work with, I give them full permission to blow it up. It may seem mad, and they haven't got full permission on clients' cars, by the way. And our development cars, they got full permission to blow them up. Because sometimes what we're doing is new. It's the unforeseen. And also, if you don't try new things, you won't discover anything new. We've got to try them. So, the higher risk jobs we do on our own development cars. And then we test them, try them out. Once we're satisfied with them, we would then offer them out to the public. Now, of course, this is new. So this is our new Overboost and Chill kit. Now, by the time you watch this video, it may be readily available for your car. I don't know. I'm not sure when this is going to come out. But at the moment you're watching right now, it's the development stage. Now, decisions. What do I do? Well, I'm going to fire up the remapping software, and I'm going to be raising the torque limiters, the RPM limiters, the top speed limiters and stuff like that for sure. I can probably give it a bit better throttle response and stuff as well. And I also need to tell the ECU that this amount of boost is okay. We want it. Yeah. What I can also do is change the fueling. Now that can be difficult because you can add more fuel, which is slightly safer for the engine. So I may go that way. And it can also cool the exhaust system, believe it or not. It can actually cool the exhaust gases so the temperature is lower. And then that way the car won't hold itself back. It'll keep trying to put power down and plowing forward. However, if we lean it out, we can actually sometimes make a little bit more power. However, if that makes things get too hot, the car's going to hold itself back. So it's a fine balance. And that might be a case of trial and error, run it again and again on a dyno and bring the fuel in up that way and then down that way and just see which direction has a better effect on the car. So I think I'm probably going to average that out with what we've learnt from previous cars. Now, ignition timing, that's something I could work with. So the more we advance the ignition timing, which is when the spark plug ignites the fuel and oxygen inside your cylinders in the engine, the timing of that is critical to get the momentum to go around, the pistons going up and down, crankshaft's going round and round. And it can cycle quicker. You can go through the cycles quicker if you change the timing of when that spark occurs and basically explodes the oxygen and fuel inside your engine. Now, the more we advance it, the more power we get. But at some point, the engine and the fuel can't cope with that. And it tends to start exploding before we actually ask the spark to occur. And that's known as pre-detonation or pinking or knocking. There's lots of different names for a similar symptom. So I don't want that to occur. But I think I should push it a little bit for this event. And then when we come back, we'll log it, we'll put it on a dyno and see how it's doing as well. But I haven't got time to do that. It's the day after tomorrow. The dyno is not available. They've let me down for tomorrow, so I've got to do something myself. I think I'm going to advance the ignition a little bit. I'm not going to go too mad, but I'm going to go a bit. But on this setup, it is unknown. So it is kind of higher risk, but I give the remappers we use permission to blow up the car. I'm going to give myself the permission as well, because it's our development car and it's for development. We are quite prepared that if this car blows up, we accept what happens, we rebuild it, we learn, we adjust. But what's the likelihood of that happening? I don't think it's very likely. I don't think it is. Right, I was up until later clock, shall we say, last night, preparing my own remap for this car. So I'm going to load it on now. And, well, hopefully it works, right? Hopefully it does what we want it to. But, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I can only try our best. That's what I'm going to do. Or the best with what we've currently got to work with, I should say. Tomic's installing a new suspension arm on Thirsty Kirsty because one of the joints has failed and we want stability at hopefully 200 miles an hour. So yeah, we're in the last day now. Cars need to be loaded tonight and on their way to York. I'm just loading on the map. So basically what I've done is I've raised the torque limiters and RPM limiters, requested more torque, told it to like the boost. I've made it a little bit leaner, not too much, and I have advanced the timing just a tiny bit. I've just gone 1 degree. That's sort of all I wanted to do. You know, you can trial and error it more on a dyno, reading data logs and stuff like that, but we don't have that here available today on the last day. So I've done that. It's still got protection built into it, so if things get too hot, it can't use the timing and it'll probably hold itself back. Ideally, you wouldn't push a car to the point where it has to hold itself back anyway, but you know, that protection's there if needed. So I'd like to push it more. I'd like to advance the timing a few more degrees, but unfortunately we can't test it. So I've just eked it up a little bit to suit the higher octane fuel and the chiller system we've got, and we'll try our best tomorrow. Or again, I reiterate, the best with what we have available today. This tuning kit will be fine-tuned, advanced, tried and tested, and available for purchase. But at the moment, yeah, strict deadline for Ultimate Supercar Top Speed event. When this car's back, it will be on a dyno and we'll probably advance the tuning some more. So yeah, okay. Map loaded on. I'm going to give it a road test, read some data with this diagnostic machine, and hopefully there's nothing that looks amiss. And then we are good to attempt a blast up the runway, aiming for 200 miles per hour. Will we do it? Only one way to find out, isn't there? All right, I've been for a road test, and with the map on it, this thing rips. It really goes. I think I can improve it again though. So at the moment, it's not utilizing quite all of the boost available for it. And when you map these things, and I've experienced maps from 8 different suppliers and ourselves now, they sort of have a bit of a jerk on acceleration. The power comes in with a kick, which feels like whoa, fast and aggressive, but actually smooth power delivery is what you want for speed, okay? So I'm gonna fit our smooth linear throttle kit, and that works on all these 5 litre and 3 litre supercharged cars. And that basically lets you apply the power, and it's a lot more smooth and linear, and therefore faster. It also gives you more power and torque, especially at the low RPM, but a little bit right at the top end of the RPM as well when you're asking for that high brake horsepower reading. So I'm going to install that now and go out again. In the meantime, I've been bedding in these carbon ceramic brakes, and they feel great actually, very responsive. Bit of advice for you guys: performance brakes can often be more noisy than your bog standard brakes. Now these carbon ceramics, they're more kind of rumbly when you apply the brake pedal, rather than the standard brakes that were on it. But I've also experienced performance brakes that can squeak as well. Now so far no squeak out of these things, which is great, but that's not to say they never will. So just pre-warning you guys, if you ever go for, a performance brake package from anywhere, you can end up with noisier brakes, but that's just kind of the compromise of better braking. If you've seen race cars and stuff like that, they're particularly noisy. And even Jaguar's own carbon ceramics, I've witnessed those squeal on multiple occasions. Like I say, no squealing from these yet, so hopefully it's not going to do that. But they do kind of rumble more than your standard brake when you apply the pedal. But I'm really happy at the moment. They are very, very responsive, and they look great through the wheel. Let's have a look at them, shall we? Woo! Massive 405mm brake discs, super lightweight, fully floating. They can handle the heat more, and they've got better cooling. Obviously, they got a performance pad to suit within a 6-piston caliper, which is massive. You can get a credit card only between the brake caliper and the wheel, so you need at least 20-inch wheels for these to fit. And then same on the back, we've actually retained the standard caliper, so we're not having to mess around with the park brake function, but we've got the ceramic disc just like the front, and the suitable pad to fit this caliper. And then we've just added our oversized aesthetic plate to the caliper just to make it look a bit nicer through the road wheel. So it looks cool, it drives nicer, and as an added bonus, basically the significantly less mass of these brake discs actually gives you better handling, because you see, with weight you have inertia. So these discs are spinning with the wheel, and they're going to want to carry on in the direction the wheel's pointing. When you try to turn it, it's going to fight against that force, or fight against that inertia force. So effectively, it's a very similar thing to fitting lightweight alloy wheels, and that is also why you would get better handling from a lightweight brake disc or a lightweight alloy wheel. And this whole kit has removed 40 kilograms from the whole car. I've seen supercar manufacturers remove the air conditioning and save less than that. And of course, in this case, we definitely don't want to be removing the air conditioning, because that's working with our chiller system to give us lovely cold air intake temperatures. Okay, we've done some miles on the first set of carbon ceramics. So we're going to give the car, especially the brakes, a little check over, see how we're doing. RC3, no binding. Yeah. No binding on that one, nothing sticking. Lovely. Yeah, lovely. Let's take it a little higher up on the lift. Right, spinning you around. Whee! They look nice, don't they? So we've got paint marks on all the bolts, so we can check that nothing has come loose. No sort of scoring or anything on the discs. Pads, plenty of meat on. Checking there's no leaks, no heat marks or anything like that. We're going to go around every single brake and do the same. And then we're also going to do the same from this side underneath. Go around, check there's no cracks or anything in the ceramics. I mean big cracks. Little micro cracking all over. That is normal for carbon ceramic brake discs. Again, checking for leaks, things like that. Pad thickness, all gravy. Okay, I've gone around the whole thing. All is looking absolutely fine. Super happy with the carbon ceramic brakes on these. I guess some people are probably going to be watching and thinking like, how much are they? Well, they're not cheap, but they're also nowhere near as much as Jaguar's own carbon ceramic brakes. Now, I believe from factory, again, years ago, it was a £10,000 or so option. And to buy the parts individually is more like 16,000 plus VAT plus installation. The brake kit on this is to be confirmed, but I think it's going to be around 7,000 plus VAT including installation, which is a chunk of change, but it's also very cheap for carbon ceramic brakes. Now, we still are selling our Gen 3 brake kit. This is what we are considering our Generation 4 brake kit. So we're still selling these. We got them on Dustin's Thirsty Kirsty here. She drives all the time, does loads of miles, tracks, all sorts. And I've had a check around them. They're all looking fine as well. So that is a steel, iron and aluminium disc and performance pads, but they are not carbon ceramic. We still sell those. Those are on our website. You can buy them or you can book in to have them installed. Due to the nature of it and some of the other performance parts, we do declare them as off-road / track / race use. That's what they're for, okay? Obviously I can't stop you going ahead and driving them on the road or whatever, but you'll find with many brake kits and lots of aftermarket parts, they all disclaim that. So I have no idea I'm going to stop and start the series on on this car per video. I'm sure it's going to make lots and lots of videos, this car. But just in case we stop it now, then thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Please remember to tune in. If you'd like anything from us, please get in contact. You can email info@wraptorcustoms.com, or alternatively you can jump on our online shop, www.wraptordesign.com, and check out a load of stuff on there. We've not got loads and loads on there. We actually probably do 100 times of the, the amount of things we list on the online shop. We just haven't got the time to like forward to it and upload it all on there. So if there's something on there if there's something that isn't on there that you'd particularly like, it is worth reaching out to us. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Dud, Wraptor Customs.